The knife is a Spyderco Para 3 in Cru-Wear. I saw this coming out and I wasn't going to jump on it right away until I saw people getting it on the groups, and I saw the posts, the pictures that were coming out. And what really caught my attention initially was what appeared to be very thin geometry of the blade. I picked up on it because the bevel, the grind that Spyderco was putting on the knives was very thin. It was very small. In getting new products from Spyderco, I always kind of take a mental note of what I'm dealing with the initial edge bevel. And Spyderco's bevels have been getting better and better. They've been closer and closer to 30 inclusive, or at 30 inclusive, and the sharpening is getting much better. I mean, it's something that I've seen lately from the company. So with that in mind, for the bevel to be so small on the knife out of the box, I thought, I wonder if they're thinning this blade out. I wonder if they took the geometry down on it. That really piqued my interest. And I also like the aesthetic of the knife. I didn't expect to until I saw the knife in actual photographs, and then it really caught my attention. And the knife is at a very reasonable price. I mean, it really is. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be more. So I went ahead and picked one up, kind of on a whim, and was just blown away by it. I mean, in fact, the night I got it, I was so busy, I couldn't even really get to it until the end of the night. I mean, I took it out of the box and checked it out, but when I finally did get to it, I really am extremely impressed with it. I really can't say enough good things. This is one of those models that you get, and it's a sprint run, it's limited. A lot of people are jumping on this, and I got it and thought to myself, I kind of want to buy a second one. I mean, I kind of, and it's still a thought that's popping around my head. Putting Cru-Wear on a Para 3 seems to make a lot of sense. The blade is very stout. I mean, the ergonomics are good, and the blade is stout. It's thicker than a Para 2 on the spine. So the idea of a small folder with really good ergonomics with a stout, tough little blade on it really seems to make a lot of sense. Cru-Wear, or CPM Crew, I mean, CPM Crew Wear is really what's being used. Although I don't know if anybody even makes regular Cru-Wear anymore. I mean, old Cru-Wear that wasn't put through the CPM process. I've read that Cru-Wear these days is all CPM. It's all, Crucible's got it, and that's the only way that it comes. I don't know whether or not that's the case. But if I say Cru-Wear, I mean, what I'm talking about is CPM Crew Wear. So Cru-Wear is a high toughness steel. There is some carbide content, there is some vanadium, some tungsten, a decent amount of carbon, although not a terribly large amount. But they kept the levels of everything low enough that it's an extremely tough steel. Although they put enough tungsten in it to cause a secondary hardening response in the heat treat. So as far as the Rockwell is concerned, Cru-Wear, what you're talking about is 60 to 65 Rockwell. And it's an extremely tough steel on top of that. So, I mean, it's tougher than A2. That's up there. It's not as tough as 3V, but it's in that neighborhood. So to have a steel that tough and that hard is an interesting thing. And then enough vanadium in it to give it bite when you sharpen it. So I really like Cru-Wear. It's not stainless, but it's got low enough carbon and high enough chromium that it's really not an issue. Really, to me, I look at it, and as far as the chromium is concerned and the non-stainless factor, I really feel like it's enough that it's enough of a non-stainless property that the blade will age well and will maybe patina well over time. But it's the kind of thing that if you wanted to control it, if you wanted to oil it once a week, it really wouldn't be a problem. Now, that's subject to where you live in the country or in the world. Different places, I don't have a problem with M4, or I really got to push it before I get a problem with M4. But I've heard of guys that live near the, near the ocean who pick up M4 and it spots pretty quickly. So really, to be straight about it, all of that is subject to where you are. So I picked this up, and I was just, I wasn't sure how I would take to it, and I was just blown away by it. I mean, like I said, I saw it come out, and I picked up on the geometry, and I thought, all right, I think I want to pick one of these up. So I started looking around, and everywhere was pre-order or waiting to get more in. And then I checked out River's Edge Cutlery, and again, they had them in stock. In fact, I think the owner put up a post on the groups. They're pretty smart about that, keeping their feet on the ground and interactive with the groups. So I think I saw that post, and I sent him a message, and he said, yeah, I've got some in, and it didn't take me long before I pulled the trigger. I figured these would go fast. So, but when I got it, I was really blown away by it. I really, the quality, the feel to it. I really like the color of the scales. And I really like Cru-Wear, and I think it makes a lot of sense on this model. I like the Para 3 anyway, but in S30V, it just wasn't doing it for me. Not that there's anything really wrong with S30V, just I was looking for something different in the steel department. But yeah, the Cru-Wear really fits the bill. So in getting the knife, like I said, the edge felt really good. I actually carried this for a day with the factory edge on it. It was that good that I thought, that's fine. Let me carry it. Let me use it a little bit. It wasn't hair whittling, but it was a really, really good edge. I remember thinking to myself, if I wasn't a sharpener, if I was just an end user, I would be really happy with what Spyderco is doing with these edges. I did want to put the knife through a little bit of use for this video. I worked on wood a little bit, actually pretty aggressively. I wanted to challenge the edge and, kind of dare it to chip or have a problem. Now, I mean, I can look at the composition of Cru-Wear and I know what I'm dealing with. Unless there was some issue with the steel, which I don't have any reason to think there would be. I knew that it would be fine. I was doing a lot of hard pushes with this and some twists and some turns. And I just wanted to get some use in with the knife and show a little bit of use with the knife. I also worked with cardboard a little bit, but at the end of working with that wood, the knife was still sharp. It was still sharp enough to shave. That amount of cutting on wood, I mean, it was unedited. It was a total of 5 minutes of working into that wood pretty aggressively. And the knife was still absolutely shaving sharp after that. So that's a testament to the toughness and the edge holding of Cru-Wear. Not that Cru-Wear is super high in the edge retention department, but it isn't. I don't know. I don't think it's a slouch. I think it's fine. It's certainly not going to be like a 10B class steel, but I like it anyway. I think it's good for what it is. And as far as fitting this into my carry options, a rough, stout, hard little folder that I can carry. And if I carry a slicer as well in addition to this, then fine. But anything tough that I've got to do, this I think this Cru-Wear Para 3 will be just fine with it. It's definitely a solid build to the knife. I haven't really had any issues with it. A little bit of lock stick, but that was really after going into that wood. And something that's different about this as opposed to the Para 2 is they're using a pin for the stop pin. If you get lock stick on a Para 2 where it almost wants to stick on the compression lock, if you rotate that stop pin a half turn, it's shocking sometimes how it eliminates that lock stick as opposed to 100 other things you could do. With this pin in there, I'm not sure how to rotate that stop pin. I wish that I could. I wish I could just turn a screw and rotate that. So I don't know if that's an issue, just something that that stuck out to me. Although the lock stick issue is really not a big deal, and like I said, that was after pretty hard use. Not batoning, which is typically what you think of when somebody mentions hard use with a knife, but I mean, I was really digging into a piece of wood with a folder. So at any rate, after that, I wanted to sharpen the knife, and I really wanted to put an edge on this anyway. I wanted to take Cru-Wear and put it through the diamond water stones. Cru-Wear it's got carbide content, but it's not terribly high, and it's also low chromium. So the other thing about Cru-Wear that you'll hear is sharpeners will talk about it because they love it. It really sharpens well. Like I said, pretty high Rockwell. Usually production-wise, you're talking low 60s, but low enough carbide that you can really work with it. 3V, you know, like I said, is similar, and 3V doesn't have so much carbide that you have to use diamond for the sake of diamond. 3V is easier to work with. Cru-Wear is the same, but I thought to myself, let's do the diamond water stones just because I wanted to see what happens, and maybe it'll give it a crisper edge. So that's what I was using, starting out with the Veneve diamond water stones, starting with the 400 to try and take the scratch pattern out, establish my angle, make sure it was consistent over the whole knife. Got done with that, doing several rotations on the 400, and then moved on to the 800 grit. Worked my way through the 800 grit, and I was being careful here. I really didn't want to ruin this geometry, the thinness of the blade behind the bevel. I had measured it before sharpening the knife because I knew that the bevel size was going to increase. So before doing any of this, I measured it, and I measured it at the shoulder, a 0.55 millimeter, so just over half millimeter behind the edge bevel. I mean, that's really good geometry, and to do that with a steel like Cru-Wear that is going to be high toughness and going to have a lot of edge stability and a lot of strength to it, I think was a brilliant idea. I'm not sure if all Para 3s have that same geometry or if they ran this sprint run thinner. After the 800 grit stone, I moved on to the 1200 grit, and I made my way to the 2000 grit. After that, I moved straight onto the Nanawa 6000 grit waterstone, working with that. Like I said, I was taking my time with this, and I had to clean the stone off several times during the sharpening to alleviate loading and keep working with it to really take the marks out of the edge. The polish after that was a little bit spotty, and I had a feeling that this would really react well if I pushed it farther. So I got out the 20K Suhiro, and instead of putting water on it, I just put a 1/2 micron diamond spray right onto the stone, using that as my, you know, it's a splash and go stone. Instead of water, I just used straight diamond compound on it. 20K Suhiro is it's a 1/2 micron stone. The diamond spray I'm using it on is 1/2 micron, so I'm not increasing the polish of it or making it finer. I'm just aiding it in working with this steel. Again, not that that's fully necessary with Cru-Wear, but why not? Why not give it a hand? I worked with that stone, and it really brought the polish up. Cru-Wear really takes an edge well. The polish on the knife really came up just from that stone, and the knife was hair whittling off the stone. I was going to strop it anyway, just to complete. But I mean, I could have left it. I could have left it right there, and just not even bothered with stropping it. I started with a 1 micron strop and went 1 micron, 1/2 micron, 1/4 micron, all on wood. Nice and simple, move through. At the end of all that, the edge was, you know, it's just electric. I mean, it really sharpens so well, and a lot of sharpeners who've worked with the steel know that, and they love it for that. Absolutely hair whittling sharp. Really a pleasure to work with. So I'm really pleased with the knife. You know, like I said, in buying it, I wasn't even sure how much I was going to like it. I kind of did it on a whim just to see, and I really couldn't be happier with it. This is one of those knives you get in and you have it for a day or so, and you think to yourself, I kind of want to buy another one of these. Not that I'm going to. I really tend to avoid that, but you know, I like it enough initially that's what comes to mind. Um, you know, I'm not the first one to say this, but it almost seems like Spyderco does better with sprint runs. Like the quality is a little bit higher. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing. But I am just noting, having had a regular Para 3 and having had this seems to stick out in my mind. It really, everything from the texture of the G10 to the way things are rounded to the action on it. I mean, it really, I was really, really impressed with this, and I'm really glad that I picked it up.